Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of the Exodus. We're looking at the construction of the tabernacle. Today I want to give you an overview of what the tabernacle was. Now, Exodus 26, verse 30, God tells Moses, "Set up the tabernacle according to the plan shown you on the mountain." Moses received detailed instructions on how the tabernacle, the place of worship, was to be set up. And they followed those instructions carefully. Now let's give a quick overview of it. Now the tabernacle was a portable place of worship, something that could be taken down and moved and then set up again. It was that way because for the time being, the Israelites were a pilgrim people. They were a traveling people. And so their place of worship had to be portable, that they could travel with it. Now, the tabernacle was really a large courtyard. They constructed frames and then hung curtains on them that enclosed a space that formed the courtyard. It was 150 feet long and 75 feet wide. You'd set the frames up and then hang over the curtains they had constructed, and that would be the courtyard of the tabernacle. Now you would enter the courtyard from the east. That's where the opening was. And when you came into the area, you'd enter this courtyard. Before you would be an altar and a basin for washing. And then at the west end of the courtyard was the tent, the tabernacle proper, the place of worship. It's sometimes called the tent of meeting because that's where God would meet with his people. Now the tabernacle proper, or the tent of meeting, was 45 feet long and 15 feet wide. You would enter the tent from, of course, the east side. Now, the tent was divided into two rooms. The first room was called the holy place, and that is where the priest would enter to perform certain acts of worship. The second room was called the most holy place, or the holy of holies, and that is where the presence of God was felt to be. That symbolized God's presence among the people. These two rooms in the tent were separated by a thick veil. The veil ran across the length of the tent, separating the holy place from the most holy place. Thus we have the tabernacle. Okay, now when you first came into the courtyard of the tabernacle, coming in from the east, about halfway across the courtyard you would come to the altar of burnt offerings. It was a large altar, and this was the place where the Israelites would come to give their offerings. They would bring their animals for sacrifice. As you proceeded across the courtyard, you would come to a great basin filled with water. This was for cleansing. The priest would wash their hands in it before they entered the tabernacle proper. Then you went a little further in the courtyard and you would come to the tent itself, the tent of meeting, or the tabernacle proper. You would enter into the first room, which is the holy place. There were 3 articles of furniture in the holy place. Directly across in front of the veil that separated from the most holy place, or the Holy of Holies, would be another altar, like the altar out in the courtyard, but smaller. This was the altar of incense. On one side of the holy place would be a table upon where there were laid 12 loaves of bread, representing the tribes of Israel. This was called the table of showbread, or the table of the bread of presence. On the other side of the room was the candlesticks, the menorah, the lamps of light for the house of God. Now, beyond the veil in the most holy place was the Ark of the Covenant. And on top of the ark was what was called the lid, and was referred to as the mercy seat. And the presence of God was felt to be residing there. It was symbolic of God's presence among the people. So in this tabernacle, entering the courtyard, you come first to the altar of offerings, then to the basin for cleansing, Then you would come to the tent of meeting itself, the holy place, and then the most holy place. This was the place of worship for the children of Israel. Now the tabernacle told the Israelites 2 things. First, it told them that God was among them. The tabernacle was always in their midst. It would be in the middle of the camp when they were camped. And then when they moved, it would precede them. They would pack it up and move it, but it would go with them. So the lesson is God is always among us. But it also told them that there still is some distance between us and God. You remember you would enter the courtyard to worship, but the Israelites could not go into the tent of meeting. They could only enter the courtyard. Only the priest could go into the tabernacle proper, the tent of meeting. The regular priest would go into the holy place where the altar of incense was. But in the most holy place, only the high priest could go in there. And he could only go once a year on the Day of Atonement. So there is still, though God is among us, there is still some distance between us and God. Regular Israelites could only enter the courtyard. Regular priests could only enter the outer room. And only the high priest can enter the most holy place and only once a year. Our sin keeps some distance between us and God. The sin problem must be dealt with. Now, the tabernacle we're going to see points us to the day of Jesus, when the sin problem will be dealt with. But that is still in the future. But for now, we have the tabernacle among us, among the Israelites, representing that God is with us. But there is still a little distance between us and God because He is holy and we are not. And our sin has to be dealt with. Now, this is the overview of the tabernacle. In the days to come, we will look in particular at all the different furnishings of the tabernacle, the different things within it, and we will examine how they point us to Jesus Christ. We'll see that in the days ahead. God is among us. That is the primary meaning of the tabernacle in the Old Testament. Hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you next time as we continue our 5-minute Bible study in the book of the Exodus.